That expensive bag of lawn food at the garden center is not magic. It may have a shiny label, a perfect photo of deep green grass, and a big promise on the front, but your lawn cannot read the bag. Grass does not respond to branding. It responds to nutrients, and if the color you want is that dark, rich green, the nutrient doing most of the work is nitrogen. Look at the three numbers printed on any fertilizer bag: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Nitrogen drives green color and leafy growth. Phosphorus supports roots and establishment. Potassium helps with stress and overall strength. But when people say they want a lawn that looks thicker, greener, and more alive, they are usually talking about a nitrogen response. So here's the real question. What is the cheapest way to give your lawn nitrogen without wasting money on a fancy label? The answer is ammonium sulfate. It usually comes as 21-0-0, which means 21% nitrogen plus sulfur. You will often find it at farm supply stores or feed stores, not just in the garden center aisle. It is simple, plain, and not very glamorous. But chemically, your grass does not care. If the lawn needs nitrogen, ammonium sulfate gives it nitrogen. Now, the premium bags are not completely useless. Many of them use slow-release nitrogen, which feeds gradually over several weeks. That is convenient. It is more forgiving if you apply a little unevenly or forget to water right away. In other words, you are paying extra for convenience and safety. Ammonium sulfate is different. It is fast release. It can green a lawn quickly, but it demands that you use it correctly. Before we get to that rule, let's clear up one lawn myth: Epsom salt. A lot of homemade lawn recipes say to dissolve Epsom salt in water and spray it on the grass for a darker green. But Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, not nitrogen. Magnesium only helps if your soil is actually deficient in magnesium. Most lawns are not. If your soil already has enough adding, more does not create greener grass. It just adds something the lawn did not need. If you want color, nitrogen is the lever that actually moves. Now, here is the rule that makes ammonium sulfate work: water it in immediately. Do not spread it on a dry lawn and walk away. Do not put it down in the heat of the afternoon and hope for the best. Ammonium sulfate has a high burn potential if it sits on the grass blades. The granules can pull moisture where you do not want them to, and that is how people end up with yellow streaks or brown patches. Apply it evenly, then water deeply right away. The water moves the fertilizer off the blades and into the soil where the roots can use it. A common rate is about 5 pounds of ammonium sulfate per 1,000 square feet, which gives roughly 1 pound of actual nitrogen. Measure your lawn. Do not guess. Use a spreader, apply lightly and evenly, and avoid heavy overlap. If you are new to it, go a little lighter the first time and see how your lawn responds. The sulfur in ammonium sulfate is also useful. Sulfur can help nudge soil pH downward over time, which can matter in areas with alkaline soil or hard water. When soil pH is too high, certain nutrients, especially iron, can become harder for grass to use. That is one reason a lawn can look pale even when it has nutrients in the ground. Ammonium sulfate gives you nitrogen for quick color and sulfur that may help the soil over time. There is one cheap add-on some lawn people like: blackstrap molasses. Molasses is not fertilizer. It will not replace nitrogen, but it provides carbon, which can help feed soil microbes. Those microbes are part of the system that breaks down and cycles nutrients. Think of ammonium sulfate as food for the grass and molasses as a small support for the soil life underneath. Use it lightly. More is not better. So the method is simple. Use ammonium sulfate for fast nitrogen, spread it evenly, water it in immediately. Do not apply it to dry, stressed grass in extreme heat. Do not replace nitrogen with Epsom salt, and do not pay extra for a premium label unless what you really want is the convenience of slow release. That is the difference. The expensive bag sells forgiveness. The cheap bag gives you the active nutrient, but it expects you to pay attention. If you respect the rate and water it in, you can get that deep green response for a fraction of the cost. Here on Let Dusty Explains, we are not saying every cheap option is better, or every expensive product is a scam. The point is simpler than that. Sometimes you are paying for the ingredient, sometimes you are paying for the packaging, and sometimes you are paying for convenience you may not actually need. Your lawn does not need a logo. It needs the right nutrient at the right amount at the right time.